The Supreme Court has dramatically changed the landscape of American law and government oversight. With a sweeping new ruling, the court has redefined how federal courts can block government policies, altering a practice that has shaped major national debates for years. In a 6-3 decision, in Trump versus Casa, the court limited the power of lower courts to issue nationwide injunctions, a tool often used to halt controversial policies before they take effect. Now, a single district judge can't halt a federal policy across the entire country with one ruling, no matter how urgent the challenge. This shift is a major win for presidential authority, giving the executive branch more room to implement its agenda, and will reshape legal battles over issues like gun rights, immigration, and environmental regulations. The ruling reflects the court's deep ideological divide. Conservatives argue nationwide injunctions overreach and disrupt government, while liberals warn this weakens vital checks on executive power, making it harder to protect rights quickly. For ordinary citizens, it means legal protections against federal actions are now fragmented, less immediate, and may depend on where you live or who brings the case. Before, one lawsuit could pause a policy nationwide, providing swift relief to everyone affected. Now relief is limited to specific regions or plaintiffs, creating a patchwork of legal outcomes across the country. This change especially impacts contentious debates like the Second Amendment and immigration, forcing both sides to rethink their legal strategies and possibly leading to more cases in more courts. The battlefield has shifted. Future fights over federal policy will be more complex, slower, and less predictable, as legal challenges play out in multiple jurisdictions. The Supreme Court's decision marks the start of a new era in the balance of power between courts and the White House, with consequences that will unfold for years to come. Nationwide injunctions once let a single judge block a federal policy everywhere in the U.S. This tool was used to quickly pause controversial rules, ensuring uniformity while courts debated legality. Supporters argued it protected everyone, not just the plaintiffs, and prevented chaos from conflicting rules. But critics saw it as judicial overreach, letting one judge disrupt national policy. The Supreme Court's conservative majority now agrees courts should only grant relief to those directly involved in a case. The Trump versus Casa decision ends the era of broad, sweeping injunctions. Now, legal challenges will only affect specific regions or parties, not the whole country at once. This new rule fundamentally changes how federal policies are contested in court. The Supreme Court's recent ruling has fundamentally rewritten the playbook for how federal actions can be challenged in court. This decision marks a turning point in the way legal battles over national policies unfold, setting new boundaries for the power of the judiciary. Nationwide injunctions, once a common tool, are now rare. District courts can no longer block federal policies across the entire country by default, making sweeping legal halts much less likely. Now, legal opponents must file lawsuits in multiple districts if they want to challenge a policy everywhere. This makes legal challenges more expensive, more fragmented, and much harder to coordinate. Instead of a single nationwide pause, we'll see a patchwork of court orders. Some states may block a rule, while others continue to enforce it, creating a confusing legal landscape for both citizens and officials. The government can now implement its policies in most states, even as legal battles continue elsewhere. This means new rules can take effect in large parts of the country, despite ongoing court fights. This shift strengthens the executive branch, giving the president and federal agencies more freedom to act, while legal challenges play out in the background. The judicial check on executive power is now slower and more piecemeal, offering the president more room to maneuver and implement new policies before courts can intervene. Legal fights will be longer, more complex, and less likely to stop a policy nationwide. The process will involve more hearings, more paperwork, and more uncertainty for everyone involved. The balance of power is shifted. Federal courts are no longer the instant brake on executive action. The rules of the game have changed, and the impact will be felt across the country for years to come. This procedural change has immediate consequences for gun rights battles. Gun rights groups can no longer block new federal regulations nationwide with a single lawsuit. If the DOJ bans certain ammunition, a judge's order now only applies locally, not across the U.S. So why Second Amendment advocates must ignore fight in court after court, creating a confusing patchwork of rules, and after buying to our manufacturers, retailers, and gun owners will face different laws depending on where they live. Blocking federal gun control measures is now harder, slower, and more expensive. The fight over gun rights has become a multi-front legal war, with no quick nationwide victories. The new system means legal battles over gun regulations will play out state by state. For example, if the ATF reclassifies certain firearms, a court victory in Texas only blocks the rule in a few states. Gun owners elsewhere must comply or risk prosecution, while others are exempt. Lawsuits will multiply across circuits, with conflicting rulings and growing confusion. Gun control advocates may win in some regions, while gun rights groups win in others. This patchwork persists until the Supreme Court steps in, which can take years. In the meantime, businesses and citizens face uncertainty and legal risk. The result, a divided nation with federal gun laws applied differently depending on geography. For gun rights supporters, the ruling is a major setback. Defending against new regulations is now harder and costlier. Many fear that their ability to challenge restrictions will be limited, and that the legal process will become even more burdensome. The sense of frustration is growing as advocates worry about the future of the Second Amendment and their rights. Gun control advocates, on the other hand, see an advantage. New rules can take effect in most states, even as lawsuits drag on. They believe this shift could lead to more effective regulation and potentially save lives, as states are empowered to act quickly. For them, the ruling is a step towards stronger gun safety measures. The legal landscape will now mirror the nation's deep political divides, with conservative circuits likely to block regulations and liberal ones more inclined to uphold them. This patchwork of rulings will create confusion and uncertainty, as different parts of the country follow different legal standards. This deepens polarization, as Americans live under different federal rules based on where they live. The experience of daily life, and even basic rights, will increasingly depend on geography, fueling a sense of division and inequality. The Supreme Court will face mounting pressure to resolve these splits and set clear national standards. Its decisions will shape the future of gun rights and regulations for generations to come. Every Supreme Court nomination now carries even greater weight for the future of gun rights and other divisive issues. The ideological balance of the court has never been more consequential, as each justice could tip the scales on landmark cases. The judiciary's fragmentation means the High Court is the final arbiter of the nation's most contentious debates. Its rulings will determine not just legal outcomes, but the direction of American society itself. The stakes for judicial appointments, and for the Second Amendment, have never been higher, as the nation looks to the courts for answers in an era of deepening division. The end of nationwide injunctions reshapes the balance between courts and the presidency. Federal policies on immigration, healthcare, and the environment will now go into effect in most states, even as lawsuits continue. Americans may face different federal rules depending on where they live, challenging the idea of a unified legal system. Businesses and citizens must navigate a complex, shifting legal landscape. The executive branch gains power, while the judiciary's ability to halt policies is weakened. Whether this is good or bad depends on your view of presidential authority. The Supreme Court's decision will shape how rights are defended and laws are challenged for years to come. America's legal and political future is now more fragmented and more uncertain than ever.